You ever get that feeling at work that there's some hidden problem slowing everything down? Well, in a factory, that one unseen issue can cost millions. Today, we're diving into a really cool study that used AI to find and fix exactly that. So let's break down how this AI detective cracked the case.
Okay, so the story really kicks off with this huge, widespread problem. Finding people to work in manufacturing is tough. Get this, a whopping 93% of organizations are struggling to fill entry-level jobs. And this isn't just some number on a slide, it's a massive labor shortage that puts a huge strain on the entire system. So when demand for products is high, factories are left totally scrambling.
And all that scrambling, it really just points to one core issue, a hidden bottleneck that's stopping a factory from hitting its potential. Experts call this a capacity constraint, and it's a problem that, if you don't solve it, can seriously make or break a business. So what even is a capacity constraint? Well, to put it simply, it's when you just can't make enough stuff to meet customer demand. This could be because you don't have enough workers, you're missing key materials, or maybe your equipment just can't handle the load. It's the ultimate bottleneck.
And this whole idea is built on a really powerful concept called the theory of constraints. It basically says that in any complex process, there's always one single thing, one bottleneck that limits the entire system. The speed of your whole assembly line is only as fast as its slowest part. But, finding that one weak link in a chain of thousands, that's the real challenge.
So how do you find that one slow part without having a bunch of people with stopwatches running around disrupting the entire factory? Well, this is where researchers introduced a new tool, a smarter, much less invasive way to see what was really happening on the factory floor.
Imagine this for a second. What if you had a stopwatch that was so smart it could watch every single workstation 24/7? It never blinks, never takes a break, and it doesn't just time things, it actually understands what it's seeing. That right there is basically the AI system they built.
The technology behind this smart stopwatch is a computer vision model called YOLO. That stands for You Only Look Once, which is just a fancy way of saying it's incredibly fast and efficient. Unlike older models that had to scan an image over and over, YOLO can identify all the objects in a single go. And as you can see from this timeline, it's evolved at like lightning speed, becoming a really mature and powerful tool for this kind of real-world analysis. And this is a perfect example of how it works. The AI just watches the factory floor through a simple camera. It's been trained to spot two things: workers, which you see here in the red boxes, and the products they're building, in this case wheelchairs, in the yellow boxes. In an instant, a busy, complicated video feed gets turned into clean, simple data. Pretty cool, right?
But just collecting the data is the first step. The real genius of this study is how they decided to analyze it. They came up with this really simple but powerful framework to break down all the activity at a workstation into just 4 possible states. The beauty of this whole system is its simplicity. The AI doesn't need to understand the super complex details of how to assemble a wheelchair. It only needs to answer 2 very basic questions at any given moment. Is there a worker at the station? And are there materials, a wheelchair, at the station? That's it. Seriously.
And boom, those 2 simple questions create these 4 distinct states you see here. If a worker and materials are both there, the station is productive. If materials are there but the worker isn't, that's non-productive. If the worker is there but has no materials, that's downtime. And if neither is there, it's just idle. This simple logic is the key to the whole thing.
Okay, so now let's go inside the factory where this system was actually put to the test. This wasn't some sterile lab experiment, right? This was a real-deal 6-month study on a functioning assembly line for assistive medical wheelchairs.
Here's a look at the factory floor. This is a manual assembly line where skilled workers are building these complex, custom wheelchairs. The researchers aimed their AI right at the workstation that the factory's own data suggested was the primary bottleneck.
So for half a year, the AI system just watched, silently, logging every single second into one of those 4 states. The big question is, after millions of data points were collected, what did it actually reveal?
All right, so here is the first huge discovery. The bottleneck station was only actually productive about 73% of the time. But look at that big light blue slice of the pie. For over a quarter of the entire 6-month period, 25.5% of the time, the station was unproductive.
So the crucial point is what unproductive actually means here. It means a wheelchair was just sitting at the station, ready to be worked on, but the dedicated worker was nowhere to be seen. This wasn't a material shortage or a machine breaking down. It was a clear, data-driven signal of a critical labor shortage hitting the line.
And the analysis went even deeper. Get this. When that main worker was away, maybe on vacation or pulled to another task, and a different employee had to step in and cover, the average time to assemble a wheelchair at that station shot up by a massive 53%. I mean, that really quantifies the ripple effect of that labor shortage in a powerful way.
So these results are fascinating for one factory. But let's zoom out. What does this kind of technology mean for the future of manufacturing as a whole? The implications here, they stretch way beyond just this one company.
What we're looking at is basically a blueprint for a much smarter way to manufacture. With a system like this, managers can get real-time, objective data on labor and inventory. They can see a bottleneck forming and get an alert before it grinds the whole line to a halt. It lets them make way smarter decisions about where to place workers to have the biggest impact, optimizing the entire process from start to finish.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A system that's constantly watching workers? Yeah, that brings up some big questions about privacy. And the study's authors address this head-on. They are very clear. This data should be used to analyze the process, not to evaluate individual people. The goal is to fix the system, not to blame the worker. And respecting privacy is absolutely paramount.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We now have the technology to see and measure everything in a production process with incredible precision. So as AI becomes this ultimate, tireless observer, the great challenge is going to be balancing that powerful drive for efficiency with the privacy, the well-being, and the simple importance of the human worker at the center of it all.